Hey guys, Katie here from It's a Creek Farm, and today we are planting pumpkins. And I thought I would show you guys, you saw in the previous video us getting the pumpkin, one of the pumpkin patches ready to plant. And I thought I'd go a little bit more on transplanting these pumpkins and how we do it and why we do it, or at least what I've learned on why we do it this way. Now, our growing season here is short. I get lots and lots of comments on people wanting to know why we start our seeds early. It's because our growing season is so short. We essentially have June, July, and August, and we start selling pumpkins September 1st, Labor Day weekend. So, I mean, maybe even late August. So, with that said, we have a very short growing season. We have to start the longer growing pumpkins inside. It just is what it is. Some people do put them outside, but then if we have an early frost or a cold stretch or whatever, then we have to go out and cover plants and pumpkins and all that. And I can tell you that covering pumpkin plants at the end of the season is absolutely horrible. You have waist-high pumpkin plants and you're trying to cover them and not break them and keep pumpkins from breaking off of the stems and all that kind of stuff. It's better for us, at least for me, from my experience, to start them earlier. So we start them in these trays this year. We got these. These are, I talked about it in my greenhouse megastore video 4 or 5 videos ago. These are called PropTech propagation trays, and they're, I believe, 162 cells. I might be off a few on it. I'm trying to look here because I know that it does say 162 cell PropTech tray is what they're called. They're nice heavy duty plastic. The plants come out really well. When I started seeds this year, I took and started like all the 140 130 day seeds together. And I separated them on my trays by the vine length. So then when I do go to plant, I have it easy. I can start at one side of the tray or grab an entire tray depending on what they are and just start planting. We want to strategically plant these. I have all these holes all laid out so that the shorter vining plants are planted up here. The longer ones are in the back. And then that way we can fit more up here, and more of the specialty ones and all that are up here. So when you start a pumpkin seed, when you go to plant it and then it germinates, it comes up with two, and with most things, they come up with 2 rounded shaped leaves. And those are, I believe what they're called, are the first leaves. And those first leaves help provide nutrients for the plant as it's germinating and as it's growing. Then those second leaves, which are called the true leaves, those are what do the photosynthesis. So the key to transplanting pumpkins, from what I've found, is that you want it to have the first leaves and the true leaves, because it's going to reduce the amount of shock. As I'm editing, I realized I forgot to talk about the taproot. Once that second leaf starts growing, so does the taproot, and you want to get these planted before the taproot gets too big. The key is to get them right kind of when that second leaf is coming and they're nice and strong and growing really, really rapidly, but still early enough that they're still getting all that extra nutrients from those first leaves that they have. And so it's finding that balance between all of those. And so when you put them in, normally a plant will have some sort of transplant shock or something like that. Pumpkin, squash, those kind of vining plants are pretty finicky with having their roots messed with and touched. And I found that if you have the first rounded leaves and then 2 first leaves, so those first 2 after that, then they are getting the photosynthesis and they still have the food available in those first leaves. and it really does help reduce the shock on the plants. And because of that, it allows us to take and transplant and put them in the ground and, for the most part, have a pretty good crop. Now, because we have had a funky season already, these guys, it was super hot and super cold. We had a freeze last night and 2 nights ago and 3 nights ago. And so these guys have been growing a little quicker than I want them to. And they're a little taller than I want, but I think they're going to be okay. They still have their first leaves. They are starting, some of them are starting to turn yellow, and I wanted to get them planted before that. But let me show you what I'm talking about here. But this mini Warts pumpkin here it has, if you look at it, it has its first leaves, and then it has 1, 2 true leaves. So this guy is ready to be transplanted. So let me look at another one here. This guy right here is perfect. He's got the 2 leaves, and this is still on there, is still nice and green. So this would be perfect for transplanting. Some of these are a little bit further along than I'd like this guy here. If you look in there, he's got some more little leaves and stuff started. And so that's a little bit further than what I would have liked, but we're going to transplant it anyways. Obviously we need to, we can't leave them in here. Hopefully the cool weather that we have and the overcast skies will be okay. Here is another one that is perfect for transplanting. It's got the 2 nice and green, and then we've got 2 leaves there. From my experience and from what I've seen, because I do watch a lot of other pumpkin growers and I watch a lot of videos on pumpkin growing and that kind of stuff, because I'm always trying to be more efficient so that we can grow more and better pumpkins for the property that we have. And so I'm always trying to learn and improve and do things and make it so that it's more efficient and we have a better product. So one of the farms that I follow does all of their pumpkins this way. It's Dutch Hollow Farms. They are in California. I don't think it's Sacramento. I don't remember offhand. Anyways, this is how they start all theirs. And before we were starting them in larger cups, and from what I've seen of him, he can do them this way. And he does thousands and thousands and thousands of pumpkin plants. And so this is kind of a little bit of what I've learned from him and then from some other people. These guys here are going in the bed or in the patch that's just north of the high tunnel here. And most of these are not ready to go. As you can see, a lot of them only have 1 leaf, true leaf, I think it's called here. These are the first leaves, so those are the ones that come up when the seed is sprouting from the seed, or when the leaves are coming out of the seed. And kind of like that little guy there, it just came out of the seed, and so that will provide extra nutrients and everything for the plant until it can start completing the photosynthesis process. And so these guys are not quite ready yet. We want to have them just a little bit bigger and hopefully have 2 true leaves. Sometimes on these guys, on the bush ones or the ones that have shorter vines, it's hard to tell, but over here you can see, oops, right there, those guys are pretty close to ready to go out. And a few of these, like this guy here, should be pretty close, another day or so in the high tunnel here. And this one here has 2 leaves going, and so that one will be ready to go pretty soon. But since they're all the same kind, I'm just gonna plant them together tomorrow or the next day. So over on this tray, those leaves are just starting to pop up. They are a much slower growing pumpkin, and I knew that. That's why they're all kind of in a tray together. And they are not yet ready. They will have, maybe next weekend I'll be able to transplant them, unless we have some sun and some warmth. They might go a little bit sooner, but if we transplanted them now, they would have just a little bit harder time. So hopefully that explains why we plant pumpkins this way. Really, our growing season is way too short, and we have to find an efficient way to start and do transplants without causing shock and root damage and all of that kind of stuff. So I have just been really watching what other pumpkin growers do. I've spent probably the last 3 years just following certain teaching pumpkin growers and seeing the best way that we can do this. And I really am happy with so far how we've done, especially considering the quality of our soil. So now we're going to get these guys, this tray here, planted or transplanted, and hopefully we can beat this rain, get these guys in, and then the rain will come and they will be super happy. We're gonna do these pumpkins similar to how we did the tomatoes in the high tunnel. We are gonna put some alfalfa pellets in first, and then we're gonna put some good quality soil in the hole, and we're gonna plant our pumpkins in that. Then we put the rest of the dirt, you know, around it like you normally would, and then that will give the roots something good quality that they can dig down in, that holds moisture really well. With our drip irrigation, it should work really well. So let me show you so you can actually see kind of what we're doing, and then we'll get going on planting. In the high tunnel, we did a scoop or two of the alfalfa pellets per hole, depending on how deep we got it. Out here, we did not drill the holes as deep, and so I'm just gonna put a little bit of alfalfa pellets. This will just provide some extra nutrients for them. Our soil is pretty much solid sand, especially up here. We do have some spots that have some okay soil, but we want to add some nutrients and some organic matter back into the soil, and this is going to be one of the more efficient ways that we can do it without bringing in truckloads of amendments. And so we're going to do this here. Some alfalfa pellets. These, when you add water to them, they'll actually expand. And so we're going to do that. We're going to add some of this soil to the hole. And then what we're going to do is take the hose, and we're going to turn it on jet is what we like, right? And then we just kind of do that, and it seems to really mix everything up. And go ahead. It provides a lot of moisture for those alfalfa pellets to expand. Get everything nice and damp in the hole before we transplant each plant. This might kind of seem like overkill, but everything we want to do, we want to add quality back into the soil. And so we could have truckloads of topsoil or garden soil, whatever, brought in. Frankly, that's not in the budget, and it would require a lot of infrastructure and resources that we don't have, and a lot of time that we don't have. So this, in my mind, is kind of the way that we're able to do this. We did it up on the other side of the high tunnel for the last 2 years. It's worked really well, and we are letting that one rest. It actually has ground cover on it, and we're planting mums on top of the ground cover for the fall. And so that one will get a good rest, and then next year it will be amazing for planting. So we are gonna attempt to do that back here, add a whole bunch of nutrients. We'll probably plant on the south side of the high tunnel and the north side of the high tunnel next year. And so that this will have 2 years worth of nutrients in it. We'll adjust the holes appropriately, and then let this one rest in 2 years, and then in 3 years this is going to be really good. So that is why we do that. It really is what we are able to do in the amount of time we have and the resources that we do have. So here we go. The hole actually looks really deep. It isn't, because the top of the landscaping fabric is about right there. So this is going to be absolutely perfect. I can see little bubbles coming up, which means the alfalfa pellets are soaking up the water. We're going to keep going on all these holes here. And then in a little bit, we're going to start planting.
Oh, this poor little guy. Yes. Oh, yeah.
We were able to get a good chunk of, we got like half that tray planted, and the wind is really starting to pick up, so I don't really want to plant anymore, and it's really starting to drizzle. I'm not sure if you can see that. So we're going to get our stuff cleaned up, put these guys somewhere safe, but we were able to get a good chunk of pumpkins planted, the holes dug, and everything on the north side of the high tunnel all ready, like, and done. I'm very, very excited. This went so much faster than I did last year. We're really starting to be able to do this efficiently, and instead of experimenting, we're actually able to have things figured out and prepare it ahead of time. So that's it for today's video. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will see you next time.